morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Okay. I don't have the other microphone, so I can't move around. I just stick to one place. So I'm not going to take too long because mostly we want to hear from Casper task force and guidelines and other issues. So I'm going to rapidly move through what is happening with the opioid epidemic across the nation. Some people are calling it not opioid epidemic, it is fentanyl and heroin epidemic. So I had to change the title to be politically correct. So that is my disclaimer. You just heard about it. I don't have any conflicts of interest. So opioid epidemic, there is a nice article about backstories on the US opioid epidemic. Good intentions gone bad, a drug industry gone rogue, government watchdogs gone to sleep. Culture of intolerance to pain and tolerance to drug abuse. So we are changing our patterns. We just completed this book, this article published recently in Brain Physician. You can look at it. It has a lot of information about the opioid epidemic, how to tackle it. Another important article you may want to look at is the family that built an empire of pain. This is the company the family which owns Purdue Pharma, how they promoted opioid epidemic. There is another book called Dreamland. This Sam Quinones is from Ohio. He was a speaker here last year actually. He goes in detail from the beginning, how it started in Ohio and Los Angeles and went through the rest of the country. So nothing has much changed. Like I testified in front of Congress for the NASPOR. This was the final stages. We started this to get that approved around 2000 and then kept going and going. It took us 4 years to get the law passed and 5 years to get it signed. So it was 4.8% of world's population consuming 80% of world's supply of opioids, consuming 99% of the hydrocodone supply and over 80% of oxycodone. So in those days, the problem was escalating abuse, doctor shopping. We didn't have any means to monitor them. Illicit drugs, inability to monitor, high dose, multiple opioids. We didn't talk about too much about combinations of benzodiazepines. It started slowly. It was just, we were beginning to talk about it. We were talking about combinations in those days were the Holy Trinity. It was an opioid, oxycodone, Soma, Xanax. So that was the Holy Trinity everybody was getting. Within the regulations. It was not outside, it is within the regulations. That is how the regulations work. So recently, my friend Benjamin testified in front of Congress. I was not able to go. So now we have 4.4% of world's population. We are still consuming 70% of global supply of opioids. Almost 100% of hydrocodone, over 70% of oxycodone. We still have the same problems, escalating deaths, heroin, fentanyl, and prescriptions are declining, but deaths are still going up. So what are we doing wrong or what are we doing right? We are talking about the same things. I went and looked at my testimony and Benjamin's testimony. I prepared that, we prepared it together. When we were preparing, we really didn't look at it, but later on, this came through internet. For some reason, my testimony was jumping out. So I went and listened to it. It was exactly the same thing. What I said in 2004, we are saying again in the 2018. It is education. That is the focus we are missing. We don't have enough education about this. We have education for the physicians, at least we try. We get 4 hours of education. But education should be at the patient level, first prescriber. When they get the first prescription, that is when they need to learn. Other day I was seeing this patient from one of the programs which went bankrupt recently, 600 milligrams of daily opioids. And when I sat down and explained to her, she said, "Where were you 10 years ago? You should have told me all these problems 10 years ago." That is what the doctor who started her on heavy opioid, they started her on OxyContin and oxycodone off the bat. So, industry guidelines, we don't recognize where these guidelines are coming from. They're coming from industry, not peer-reviewed or science-based or evidence-based. Monitoring, of course, we are doing, and focus on low-dose opioids. We may not be able to eliminate opioids at all completely, but we should be able to work with low-dose opioids. Non-opioid techniques, we need to focus our attention on fictional science, on fake news. This is hot off the press. It just came out on Wednesday or Thursday from CDC, the new data on the deaths. Last year, total deaths were 62,532, and this year they were 72,000, so that is about 13% increase. Of that, opioid deaths, last year they were 42,249, and this year 49,068. Again, it is 68% or so of that. So it increased 16% opioid deaths. But look further. Synthetic opioids increased 9,000. This increased approximately 7,000. All deaths increased about 7,000, but just fentanyl increased that much. The numbers don't correlate totals because some patients, not some, but majority of them have multiple drugs in their system. That is one of the reasons why therapeutic opioids are counted as very high. For one thing, they don't identify heroin unless it is immediate testing and it goes as an opioid afterwards. And the second, we don't know the difference between, we are not counting how much is the therapeutic opioid, how much is the overdose of the opioid. So a patient who is taking therapeutic opioids, they may be overdosing, and they are counted as opioids again, and they are in the other group too. So there are a lot more than that number shows there. Now heroin stayed pretty much the same. Slight increase, about 500 deaths more. The next one is the cocaine, 37% increase. We thought cocaine was going down. It is not. The next one we're going to see is buprenorphine pretty soon. That is going to come back. Methamphetamines, they increased 40%. So coke and meth are coming back. Methadone, with 1% of the prescriptions, still it is contributing to 3,300 deaths. That is approximately almost 1/3 of the deaths. Suicide rates, we talk about so much about these, but suicides, in 2016, there were almost 45,000 suicides, the same number as the opioid deaths. Some of them are because of the opioids, of course, but the states where there are high rates of suicides are not the same states where high rates of opioids are. There is some differences there. How many people are dying because of the flu? 56,000, that is more than opioids. So what is the public opinion on opioid crisis? Who is responsible? The public really doesn't take the responsibility that much. The drug users, some people think that they're responsible. Only 10% of the people think the drug users are responsible in it wholly. And highest is 29. Whereas if you take the drug manufacturers, almost 43% of the people think that they are responsible in one whole. But physicians consistently rate pretty high. They're blaming the physicians for opioid deaths. Even the public is blaming the physicians. If you look at the deaths or prescription opioids, how they are increasing, and opioid deaths, Because of the prescription opioids, the deaths increased from 2001 to 2009, 159%. Whereas 2009 to 2016, it was only 18%. Now if you add 2017, the average will become less, that is 3% annual average. Whereas synthetic opioids, other than methadone, increased 233% in the first part, that is 2001 to 2009. But 2009 to 2016, it increased 520%. If you add 2017, probably it is going to be 560%. So that is the tremendous increase coming there. This is again shows the same here, only up to 2016, but we added the number there, 2017 number also. It changes the percentages substantially. The opioid epidemic designed to deceive you. People who want opioids to be prescribed liberally say that all these charts are deceptive, and this is what they are showing. So in 2010, they released the oxycodone ER, which is non-crushable or non-chewable, so it is abuse resistant. After that, non-medical use of oxycodone has declined. So that should reduce the deaths, right? It didn't do that. The national overdose deaths started increasing at the same time. The same year it started climbing. Now we are at this stage. The same thing is happening to opioid, limiting the prescriptions. As the opioid prescriptions are being limited, this movement started limiting the prescriptions around 2012 or 2013. And after that, deaths are increasing. Prescriptions are coming down, but deaths are increasing. So these are the total number of prescriptions. Highest, we were around 275 million prescriptions a year. In 2013, there were 251 million. And 2017, 196 million. How many people are getting prescriptions? Almost 80. 2011, 81 of 100 Americans got an opioid prescription. It is going down now. In 2016, it was 66 people, 66.5. Now it will be a little bit less. So that is the graphic which shows opioid volume, how it reduced. Now it is not only the opioid prescription volume, but the dose, that also has declined, how much we are giving per patient. Along with this, we are also increasing medically assisted treatment, buprenorphine treatment, methadone treatment. People are going more for the treatments. Western Kentucky, just a few minutes ago, Ram showed that it was 54% in 2011. It is 35% in 2017. But it is the whole state is pretty much the same. Federal government was not even giving us some statistics. For some reason, they were suppressing these statistics. But then they went ahead and released them. Substance abuse data, it is better now. The substance abuse rates are lesser compared to that. The state monitoring programs are extremely useful and helpful. Now, 4 states with robust programs, Kentucky, Tennessee, New York, and New Mexico, they compared these states with Missouri, which did not have a program, and a few other states which had very poor programs. So we did better with the prescriptions. Kentucky did better compared to the other states. Prescriptions are coming down, whereas Missouri is going up. Significant difference. So opioid prescribing, what are the new norms now? If your 50 milligrams is the recommended dose, don't want to exceed that. or 90 milligrams is the high dose. They want you to stay around 50, but not exceed 90 milligrams, only in patients where it's medically needed after appropriate assessment. So you can give 50 milligrams of morphine or 90, 50 milligrams of hydrocodone 90. When you go to oxycodone, it becomes 33 or 60. Methadone is anywhere from conversion, based on the conversion rate, 5 to 12 milligrams or 9 to 20 milligrams. But FDA itself recommends you can give up to 30 milligrams. 30 milligrams is the dose. I see patients who are on 120, 200 milligrams, and methadone clinics routinely give them up to 200 milligrams, even though it has a lot of cardiac toxicity. Buprenorphine, in the KYSIPP reports, actually they stopped calculating it. Everybody is calculating it differently. They are saying it is 10 times more potent. Some saying, no, it is not. So 5 milligrams or 9 milligrams. 7 micrograms of fentanyl is equal to 50 milligrams of morphine equivalents. And if you want it to 90 milligrams, it is only 12 milligrams. 12 micrograms, that is where we start, 12 micrograms. We don't even give that. People are on 75, 125, 200 micrograms per day. So opioid supply and death, sometimes these things are not correlating at all. From 1996 to 2007, there was a tremendous increase in opioid production. Hydromorphone increased 450%, hydrocodone 400, fentanyl 1,000%, or 10,000, or 1,000. But only 0.1% of the physicians were sanctioned. We keep complaining that the DEA is very aggressive, KYSIPP is very aggressive, boards of medical licensures are very aggressive, but for overprescribing, only 0.1% of the physicians were disciplined. The opioid production was decreased by law from DEA and FDA together, 25% in 2017, and another 20% in 2018. The goal of President Trump is to reduce it to 33% more. So prescriptions are coming down. There was 10.2% decline in just 2017. High dose also declined about 16%, and prescriptions came down from 252 million to 196 million. At the same time, they are blaming that people are unnecessarily doing interventional techniques. These are the national data, so I can't say that it applies for Kentucky 100%, so it may or may not apply. Some people in Kentucky may be doing too many of these procedures, are saying that we won't give you the medicine unless you have a procedure done. Sometimes it can be misinterpreted. You just give them the choice of the treatments. They say that he's forcing me to have this treatment. Even just giving the choice. So if you eliminate all those things, still procedures are declining. There is a decline of epidural injections, facet joint interventions, slight increase, disc procedures, significant increase. So if you look at just epidural injections, all epidurals declined 1.8% per year from 2009 to 2016. So we are seeing the same pattern with the opioids as well as the interventional techniques. We are reducing the opioids, but these are also declining. If you just look at the lumbar interlaminar epidurals, they declined 4% per year. Just the lumbar interlaminar. Transforaminal increased it 0.3% per year from 2009 to 2016. Before that, there were tremendous increases. That was 23% increase per year, epidurals. When you go to the facet joint interventions, the increases are slow, but they are still increases. The lumbar facet joint nerve blocks slightly decreased, or 0.1% increase, but radiofrequency neurotomy is increasing significantly per year, that is per year, 9.2% and 7.6%. So historically, the production and geographic source of heroin comes from, the main issue is the black tar heroin coming from Mexico. But we need to remember that heroin, opium, and cocaine, these were all used in cough syrups. They were giving them to kids, forcing them. There were 0.1% of US population were addicted to heroin in 1925. 15% of US military was addicted to heroin in 1971. That is the reason Nixon started the methadone clinics in 1972. So these are all the acts. Until 1970, the Controlled Substances Act came into, we were following under the Harrison Narcotic Tax Act. So it was almost criminal to prescribe opioids. So Controlled Substances Act is the one which liberalized everything. There are lots of other factors. Once they opened the doors, everybody made the small hole, we started driving trucks. Opioid liberalization, drug manufacturing and distribution. Regulations are very lax. We think that they are very tough. Not really, especially with the manufacturing and distribution. With all the opposition, Zohydro was approved. OxyContin was approved with misinformation. There was no scientific evidence at all. Misrepresentation of the evidence of effectiveness, supply chain without checks and balances, direct-to-physician marketing. We were all thinking that all these fancy brochures were all peer-reviewed literature, but they were not. False marketing claims, increasing levels of production. Legitimacy, because a doctor is giving, it is legitimate, it is safe. DEA, FDA, licensure boards, and legislatures, they're all responsible. Now they are trying to control. FDA says controlling this, DEA says that. But they all promoted this. They're all responsible for this abuse. They don't like to hear that. They just want to blame the doctors and patients. But we're all responsible in this. The state medical boards started this saying that there is no disciplinary action against practitioners based solely on the quantity and/or frequency of the opioids prescribed. At one point, I have seen a physician was being punished. He got a letter of reprimand because he was giving only 3 tablets of hydrocodone. Somebody said he has to give more than that. The board said that. Poor scientific evidence. We don't have much evidence at all. Physicians and promotion of literature considered peer-reviewed literature. That was the main thing. Liberalization, illicit drugs. This whole thing started that they're not addictive, just with a letter to the editor. 100-word letter to the editor, New England Journal of Medicine. The guy who wrote the letter, he didn't even realize it was going to cause so many problems. It was quoted so many times. And one paragraph. Then there was the king of pain. He did this small study of 38 patients. None of them actually received hydrocodone at all. And this is the article everybody based on. Opioids are safe in chronic pain. So OxyContin folks spent millions promoting opioids to patient groups. First they went to the pain doctors. Once pain doctors started becoming a little bit leery about it, then they promoted to the family doctors. So that is where most of the epidemic came about. So this is the family that built the empire, Sackler brothers. But on one side they are building Purdue Pharma and sending all these drugs. On the other side they had a Sackler wing, Sackler gallery, Sackler museum, all this philanthropy. The remaining Sackler, Marissa Sackler said, philanthropy is old-fashioned, it is social entrepreneurship. That's what they are doing, donating all the money so they can promote their business. The Purdue Pharma was making laxative and ear wax until they bought it. Then they made long-acting morphine. After that, they went into OxyContin. Arthur Sackler started a research lab In those days, nobody knew about journals, and we were not getting any journals. Only journals existent were JAMA and few journals, anesthesiology, things like that. So he would send these fancy newsletters for free. Everybody would read that. They think that these are all peer-reviewed literature. Actually, he commented in front of the Senate, said that actually every American may need benzodiazepine at some time. A senator from Tennessee got very upset and they got into this fist fight. Now, people are recognizing they are protesting slowly. This started very recently. Senate panel investigated drug companies. So how did these guidelines come from? All these companies paid to Wisconsin Group. They prepared the guidelines, and the boards of medical licensure picked them up as a peer-reviewed literature. They mandated everybody follow them. It's all liberalization, that's all. They said guidelines, but they're not really peer-reviewed guidelines. That is how it started, pain policy group. And even FDA commissioner supported. We were all opposing Zohydro, and she was saying that, well, we have 100 million people with chronic pain needing opioids, so it needs to be approved. And Zohydro was approved. And in regards to the OxyContin, Dr. Curtis Wright is the one who wrote the recommendation to be approved. And after 6 months, he went to work for Purdue Pharma. Too many conflicts of interest. The Senate investigated, they were investigating her, the FDA commissioner on that part. So these are all the organizations who received plenty of money from the drug companies to promote, essentially promoting their drugs. The guidelines originally came from American Academy of Pain Medicine, American Pain Society, and JCHO supported it, medical board supported it. And then we also had fifth vital sign. Now they realize that that is a very bad thing. Now they are replacing with something even more onerous, even a lot more paperwork for the hospitals and anything which is accredited by JCHO. So we don't have ASIPP on the list. We don't see ASIPP, do you? Because we were always on the other side for the opioids. So even American Academy of Pain Management, that's the number 2. You know, that is the throwaway organization, which is American Academy of Integrative Pain Management. They are the number 2, US Pain Foundation. So one of the foundations went out of business, a new one came, and they are number 1 again. So it is easy to create these companies. They also blocked this bill in the Congress where drug makers were going to be punished and more restrictions on them. Then doctors are abusing it too. Doctors get rich from controversial drug makers. Some top opioid providers raise red flags. So we have been working on this, as he showed. We got the NASPR passed. I still have the pen. Now every state has a PDMP now, including Missouri. Education, we offer guidelines, certification, collaboration. We are collaborating with Congress, administration, CDC, FDA, state and licensure boards. We have submitted a 3-tier approach with a 10-point formula. Education, it should start with the public. Now, Trump administration is preparing some videos I have not seen. They are going to come out soon, I guess. But I don't know how strong they are. It should be really, really educating the patients, the public in general, about illicit drugs and their adverse consequences. Patient needs to get the education with the first script, not after they have been for 15 years on it, 600 milligrams per day. Adverse consequences, dependency, abuse. And physicians, they don't write prescriptions like I had with this little small surgery. They gave me 30 tablets of oxycodone. And not knowing it, my wife got it filled. We didn't even open that thing. Then my wife had small surgery. They did the same thing. My brother-in-law went and got it prescribed. So we have all these prescriptions lying around. They are very dangerous. And they didn't even ask if they needed pain medication or not. But all I took was Tylenol. I didn't take any pain medication on the substance. Monitoring and treatment. We have to have easy access to the treatment. Right now, buprenorphine can be given only for medically assisted treatment, and it is very expensive. Insurers are giving us a lot of trouble. They don't approve it all. So it should be liberalized, and it should actually be available for managing chronic pain too. Thank you.